You know how many times I heard people say, Tim Black, you should run for office, man. You obviously don't care about money, or you'd be a Republican. You're right.
No filters.
There are people who in 1830, very intelligent people, would have said, we cannot abolish slavery. If we abolish slavery, this country will collapse. There will be chaos. God knows what'll happen. Logically, like, there's an argument for what they're saying.
Yeah.
I would never argue that. I would never argue that, because what I would argue is slavery is so immoral that you just can't sit here. Like, there's just no option to pursue this path. You know, it's just it's that wrong. And I guess, like, when you highlight Yemen, as you just did, what I think about is not just Barack Obama. I think about that for, 75 years? Like, how long are we gonna make war in the Middle East? How long are we gonna do this? Like, how long? Like, I think about, like, you know, Iran all the time. It's like, I don't think, and I don't mean this in any sort of disrespectful way, because people have lives and they have things they have to do, but I don't think people understand, like, between Iraq and Iran, like, how much war making we've done over there. Like, how violent our presence has been over there, and how, in certain cases, how anti-democratic our presence has actually been. How long are we gonna go on with this, man? Like, is this gonna be every presidency after every presidency, and then each one makes some sort of excuse for why we have to do this? I don't want to be part of that project.
Did you write this glowing book about Obama? And when people got on you about being a kiss ass, you were like, I was just so enamored, I was glamored by him. I expect more out of you than D.L. Hughley. You know, you did a D.L. Hughley. You know what I'm saying? And then you go and you do this thing, and it's like, oh, it's just really convenient. It feels convenient all to talk about Gaza. I'm not saying it's right what's happening. It's not right. But I can't help but feel betrayed. You know, I can't help that I wonder where's the skin, the thick skin, the battle ready. Like, you know what I'm saying? Where's the guts, the chest out, saying it with your chest for us? Because that reparations argument you made was not chest out.
You say, for reasons moral, pragmatic, and perhaps mostly ancestral, the next Black presidency will have to think bigger. To its list of adversaries, which include
Did he say the next Black president? He said the next Black president. That's funny. If that president comes out of the Democratic Party, y'all gonna do the same thing y'all did last time. Nothing. You gonna say how dangerous it is to question the brother, how we need to have his back no matter what he does, if he sells us off a cliff, if he sells us down the road, if he ignores us, reaches past us, and helps every other group in this country, we need to take it on the chin, because what else could he do? He's only the president. Because that's what we do. So I don't expect anything. No, I don't expect anything. That's why I say, folks, hey, look, I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, a Dion Downer, but I got to tell y'all, we need to get our money right. That's the only thing I can say we need to do. Don't nothing else matter in this country. And I'm sorry it's like that. I didn't make it that way, but I'm just looking at everything clear-eyed, and I just say, all this, the presidents, this our whole political system is so damn corrupt. You know how many times I heard people say, Tim Black, you should run for office, man. You obviously don't care about money, or you'd be a Republican. You're right. But there are people that say, Tim Black, you should run for office. Yeah, but then they're going to do me like Corey. And then you're going to care? Really? Really? I'm not going to say nothing that's going to make them people want to put money in there for me. And we all know you ain't going to support me. You're not. You say you will, but you're not. I got to pull teeth to get $2. I can't even sell my fucking mugs. I got a box of mugs over here. So I know our elections are so bad. We have to focus on what we can actually get done at some point. And What I'm saying is monetarily is what I'm focused on for us because I don't see anything else happening. Ta-Nehisi Coates talking about the next time we get a black president, we're going to have to do a better job. That's like saying the next time I hit the lottery, I ain't going to spend all my money in one place.
He had Colin Powell, Condoleezza Rice, Barack Obama, Susan Rice, and then Kamala Harris, Linda Thomas Greenfield, which is seeing is a list of African Americans who actually only exist in those spaces because of the Black freedom struggle itself. That's the whole reason they're there, right? None of them would be there if not for the sacrifices of Martin Luther King, if not for the sacrifices of Coretta Scott King, if not for the sacrifices of Fannie Lou Hamer. What did they say we were supposed to do? Who did they imagine us being once we got into those roles? And I don't think they imagined us. In fact, I know because they said it as people that would justify dropping bombs on people who are weaker than us. I can tell you what the struggle means to me.
Sure.
And the struggle means to me not just that we would get the boot off of our necks, but that we would destroy the boot, that this would not happen to other people. And I don't think I'm out on a limb on that. Like, I think that's always been the content of our struggle has always been that it's been bigger than us. That's been the fact of it. You know, it is not the case that the civil rights movement just benefited Black Americans themselves. It is not the case that Dr. Martin Luther King, you know, when he saw what was going on in Vietnam, said, well, I just need to shut up and just, you know, make sure my people were okay.
But you do need to shut up and make sure our people are okay because it's 60 years later, dum-dum. Guys, you know, you can be so smart yet so stupid. But you know what? He's not stupid. He's playing a... See, here's the rule. Malcolm Hill did the same thing. Jerry Ball doing the same thing. Dr. Cordell West, I love you, bruh. You're doing the same thing. You know who didn't do the same thing? Glenn Ford. Glenn Ford of the Black Agenda Report. So what I'm saying is, it's 60 years after MLK. And I've got a feeling, this is the same thing I say about Fred Hampton. Because people say, well, Fred Hampton was willing to work with anybody. Yeah, he died at 22. Fred Hampton was 21 years old when he was murdered by the state.
Hey, who did they imagine us being once we got into those roles? And I don't think they imagined us. In fact, I know because they said it as people that would justify dropping bombs on people who are weaker than us. I can tell you what the struggle means to me.
Sure.
And the struggle means to me not just that we would get the boot off of our necks, but that we would destroy the boot, that this would not happen to other people. And I don't think I'm out on a limb on that. Like, I think that's always been the content of our struggle has always been that it's been bigger than us. That's been the fact of it. You know, it is not the case that the civil rights movement just benefited Black Americans themselves. It is not the case that Dr. Martin Luther King, you know, when he saw what was going on in Vietnam, said, well, I just need to shut up and just, you know, make sure my people were okay.
But you do need to shut up and make sure our people are okay because it's 60 years later, dum-dum. Guys, you know, you can be so smart yet so stupid. But you know what? He's not stupid. He's playing a... See, here's the rule. Malcolm Hill did the same thing. Jerry Ball doing the same thing. Dr. Cordell West, I love you, bruh. You're doing the same thing. You know who didn't do the same thing? Glenn Ford. Glenn Ford of the Black Agenda Report. So what I'm saying is, it's 60 years after MLK. And I've got a feeling, this is the same thing I say about Fred Hampton. Because people say, well, Fred Hampton was willing to work with anybody. Yeah, he died at 22. Yeah, I bet by the time he was 42, he might be different. He might look at them Aryans and been like, nah, I'm cool. But they couldn't be Aryans at the time. You could be an X anything. You could be X anything. Not at the time, though. Can't be preaching, you know, hang lynch N-words and then go work with Fred Hampton. I don't even think he was on that. The Black Panther Party was not on that shit. They denounced their lynching ways. But here's the point I'm trying to make, fam. Ta-Nehisi Coates and all these other intellectuals, fam. Black people are 60 years past the civil rights movement, and we're still talking about the same shit. At some point, people got to say, what about us? And people got to be realistic about what they can get done. And you also got to know when you're being a fool. And you got to be self-conscious enough and aware and say, you know what, hold on a second. Where you been? No. Where you been? And who bought you that bracelet? And why do you smell like another man's cologne on you? At some point, you got to be able to do that. And then you got to say, okay, keys, please. Where you going to live now? Go with your mother. Go live with your mother. You got to be able to say that. And so at some point, we got to call bullshit. Because I think you understand what I'm saying. I just want to make sure I'm articulating it correctly. Because I'm getting some criticism from the Jared Ball, academic, upper crust, FD signified branch of YouTube. And they're the people that love them. They've been in my comment sections. I understand your argument. I want you to understand my argument. Let me articulate this. We should be able to see beyond our own noses. Okay? But if your nose is broke, it's important to get it fixed. Black America has been sitting pretty much, we're not even in the same position we were 60 years ago. We've gone backwards. In 1970, over 50% of Black Americans own their own home. Now it's 44%. Homeownership is the yardstick by which wealth for working class people is measured. Working class and hurting class Americans, our wealth is tied up in our homes, not in stocks. It's not in General Mills. It's not in Google. It's not in Yahoo. It's not in Tesla. For us working type people, it's in our homes. We buy a home, and from that home, we finance things. The number one cause of bankruptcy in America is healthcare expenses. Not going to the track. Not being crazy buying spinning rims. That's just bullshit, dumb shit. People say who don't know anything, don't look anything up. And just think the most negative thing about Black people and regurgitate it. Because they like Charleston White. They like when he gets loud and does his arms like this when he ain't saying anything. My point is, at some point, Black Americans have to look at where they are and say, you know what? If you're on the airplane and the airplane goes down, they tell you on the airplane. It's not that they don't care about the people around you, but you can't save nobody if you can't save yourself. We have not been able to save ourselves, sir. And you being a person with a humongous platform. Every time I turn you on, you're talking about another group of people, not even in this country. We know what's going to come next. So it's Palestinians in Gaza. Then it's the immigrants, Latinos, Mexicans, Guatemalans that are being deported. Now then it's Haitians and the TPS. And then it's going to be LGBTQ and trans who want to play, darts on the girls' dart team or whatever the hell. And then if you get around to it, if you happen to have a little bit of bandwidth left, maybe you could say a couple things about Black people. And here goes the kick in the ass. If I don't agree with that, then I'm a white nationalist. If I don't agree with that, then I am a racist. This is what Black people are saying. Now, it's not what real Black people are saying. It's not what, you put me in a group with Brandon Tatum, and I'm fighting for Black America. I got the guts, the nuts to say things about what Black America needs. Black America needs someone to say, hey, we need trades back. Once upon a time, that was important. When my dad was a young man and he needed a job, he got one in the construction and the trades, and he worked construction in that field, and he moved up for 50 years. Up to 6 months before he died, he was still at work. So part of my complaint is you guys are cowards. And I get it, you got things to lose, and you don't want to lose everything, talking big and bad about Black Americans. Because Black Americans as a whole don't really value. They want nice shit, they want things to change. They don't value enough of it to really go into the pocket for the shit. I get it. But we do the right thing, not because it's going to make us wealthy. We do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. That's the whole point of it. And the first duty of a man is to take care of his family. You get it. You just disagree with it because it's more convenient to disagree and dismiss it as the ramblings of a deranged MAGA than to accept I'm an independent voter who was once a leftist, who was once progressive, who had every notable progressive on his show, came through my channel. I was the leading Black progressive in the world. My dad died. It just came back over me, man, because when I was a young man growing up, I was coming up, he used to tell me about how the demographics on his job had changed and no jobs left for brothers in the construction field here in D.C. and Maryland and Virginia. He used to talk about this stuff, and I didn't know what he was saying. And I used to think, damn, man, why is Moose saying this stuff? Why? That's what we call the Moose. Why is it so hard on the immigrants, man? I didn't get it. So when he passed, I did some soul searching, man, and I felt ashamed that I did not listen, that I didn't get it all those years, really what he was saying. So you're going to mass incarcerate Black men and take away their ability to do a lot of jobs in the one field. There was one field you could go in, you could work it, a record or no record, and your wife would not have to work. That's how it used to be. We went from being 80% of a sector to being 20%. Okay? So, mass incarcerate people to the point they just can't go get a job in any field. In one of the few fields that you can make a living and take care of a family and still be able to afford a house at some point, and a wife who can stay home with the kids, you gonna take that from us and give that to undocumented immigrants because you can save money. And I know we need to blame the employers. We definitely need to do that. But you know what? If we can't lock up all the employers, this is America. We got to be realistic about how America functions. Capital is moving. Capital controls everything. But you can't illegally employ people that aren't here, can you? So that was my thinking. And now I just realized that as long as all I can hope for is a secure border. And if you guys are still upset that I say we need a secure border, then just go fuck yourselves. Seriously, that's nothing else I can say. If you can't wrap your head around that, then you just, I ain't nothing I can do for you. And all the complaints about ICE just sound like cops. When you say ICE, all I hear is cops. Cops, that's all I hear. If you want to be locked up somewhere and you Black, you damn sure rather you have a much safer stay to be in an ICE facility than you do in a general pop in Texas or Arkansas or Mississippi. You understand what I'm saying? Because the death rate is like 100 to 1. So these are the things I think about when I hear Ta-Nehisi Coates. And we got so many issues, man. I can run down all of the statistics about how bad. Actually, 100 to 1 is not even accurate. It's like 168 to 1. I actually covered this. I was so tired of Democrats gaslighting the world about all of the ICE deaths. And then when I went and looked them up, it was like 6. And when you and I know we lose that, We lose 6 people in Memphis on a hot weekend. Hell, a hot Friday. You know, we can keep on talking past each other. We can talk to each other. These people don't just move the goalposts. Moving the goalposts, I'm used to that. These people move the stadium. I come out dressed to play football. These assholes are wearing jousting outfits. I don't know. I don't know about jousting. I never thought about jousting. I don't even have a sword. What's the thing? You got a hockey mask or something I can put on?
It is not the case that Fannie Lou Hamer was only concerned about Mississippi. It's not the case that W.B. Du Bois was not concerned about the world. It is not the case that James Baldwin, went over to Israel and was like, well, I can't talk about this because I'm only concerned about my people. What I'm trying to say is the best of us have always been concerned, beyond ourselves. If you want to say that the endpoint of our dream, of our struggle, is simply to, get us in, positions of power, to integrate us into the machine and to not, change the machine, then don't talk about Fannie Lou Hamer. Don't talk about Dr. Martin Luther King. Because that wasn't what their lives were about.
If Fannie Lou Hamer would have lived another 40 years, and she would have saw things get worse, I got a feeling out of her conscience and what drove her to take that ass whooping in that jail cell. I got a feeling she would say, let's focus on that shit. But that's just me, And I don't think anybody would say that she's a sellout for saying that. But she's not here. We are here. And the first duty of a man is to take care of his family.